Kelly Rigg of tcktcktck has just joined me. Do you want to come on camera? Hello, we've had some positive messages coming out for the last couple of hours. Tim Gore of Oxfam telling us that the texts are looking good, and people are vibrant, up and cheering and clapping in the plenary halls. Should we all go home and have our cocktails? Is it all done?
No, it's going to be a long, long night. It's like election night in the U.S., I think, where everybody has to stay up all night and watch how the precincts come in. You know, it's got a lot to do still.
So what are we expecting over the coming hours then?
Well, I believe that they are going to reconvene in plenary in a couple of hours' time. I can't remember the exact timing. I'm not even sure what time it is anymore myself. And then I think there will be official report backs from the working groups, the LCA and the KP, and all sorts of discussions will take place. And I remember earlier this year in April when we thought that the plenary was going to close at 6 p.m. and suddenly one distinguished delegate from Saudi Arabia decided we had to go through the whole text line by line, and we spent 6 hours on a 4-page document. So with these sorts of things, you just never know how long it's going to go, and I've heard some people predicting it's going to go all night and into tomorrow morning and possibly even later. So
there does seem to be a shift of tone though. We've had delegates walking past us giving us a thumbs up, and people coming on camera saying that they feel that the atmosphere's changed here. Do you think that we can afford to be a little bit more optimistic at least?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I'm an optimist by nature. I wouldn't actually be here at all in the first place. But, I think that there's a very, very strong message from civil society coming through saying you have our support to really take strong action. You probably saw our ad in the Financial Times today calling on Japan to be more flexible. I did see something from one of our Japanese colleagues saying that Japan has actually shown a little bit of sign of flexibility. I saw in some of the draft texts some attempts to accommodate the Japanese position. I don't know if that holds true for some of the other blockers, but there are all of the elements in the text which would help move us forward. And so people are very optimistic, but you just never know how it's going to go.
And you mentioned the role of civil society at these talks, and we've actually just shown a video a couple of minutes ago of the action taken this morning on the beach.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I can't wait.
It's a goodie. But what?
I was in the question mark.
Yeah, we saw you speaking as well, actually. But what role have civil society been able to take here? Because the logistics here have been different to previous talks. They've been split off from the main negotiating rooms. We've got a bit of a guerrilla broadcasting going on now in order to bring you the final day from the talks themselves. But do you feel that you've really been able to have an impact here?
I think so. It's been more difficult because sometimes I had the feeling that most of the side events and civil society activities were over in the Cancun Messe, that building on a 20-minute bus ride from here, while all of the delegates were here ensconced in their huddles and negotiations, and you have to wonder how much they're hearing about that. And in fact, I wrote a blog piece about this, about all of the amazing reports that are coming out and new information, both in terms of the urgency of the problem, but as well as solutions and actions that business are taking. There was, I think you guys ran a piece on these retired generals and admirals coming. I mean, all these amazing things happening, but you have to wonder whether the delegates are hearing it or not. But I believe that it creates an overall atmosphere and a buzz that has to start bleeding through to a certain extent. And I think that they would have to be really deaf, dumb, and blind to not have gotten a civil society message that there is a strong appetite for action. And not just I don't just mean NGOs and the normal pressure groups. I mean businesses and just a wide variety of actors are really pushing for action now.
And we spoke to Alden Meyer a few hours ago, and he's saying that if we didn't have some kind of success story out here, people would be questioning the UN process, and that it would really take it a couple of years to recover from the kind of criticism it would undoubtedly receive. Do you feel that we've managed to kind of reinforce the role of the UN process here and kind of refocus people's minds on getting an agreement within the climate talks?
I think so. There were lots of rumors and quotes showing up in newspapers in sort of September, October about, maybe this is just too big and there's too many countries here and we should leave it to the smaller groups. Well, by that, presumably, you could refer to the G20, but look what happened in South Korea at the G20 meeting. Nothing. There was very little on climate, no moving forward. So I think it's pretty clear that it's not the process. I mean, even here with all of these countries, it's actually only a very small number, a handful of countries that are really blocking agreement. And I think wherever you go, those same countries are still going to have the same position. So there's no getting around the fact that those countries have got to sit down and work out an agreement they can all live with that puts us on course for solving this problem. And so at least this process is the only one that has everyone involved and therefore has the legitimacy to do this. So I think that I haven't heard so much lately since the G20 about somehow taking it to a smaller forum. Maybe it's just me, but I think that people pretty much recognize this is it and this is where we have to do the deal.
And this time last year, or kind of around this time last year, you were trying to work out tick strategy for a kind of a post-Copenhagen climate movement, something to would overcome the huge hangover that I think many people felt after the disappointment there. What do you think you'll be saying in January? What's the movement? Presuming we get a reasonably successful outcome from here, what's the direction of the movement in the coming year?
Well, I think the movement is growing and it's getting much stronger. And for example, the Tick campaign, we've had 40 new organizations sign up to be partners in just the last few months. People are really excited at the idea that there's this movement coalescing and there's just much to be fought for, and they recognize they have a role to play, and they have a stronger voice when they do it together collectively. At the same time, I think we need to recognize that one of the reasons we've had slower progress at the international level has been because of an insufficient mandate at the national level. And we need to bring the public along with us, because in most countries I think the public recognizes the importance of the issue, they even support action, but whether they put it at the #1 top of the list of what they demand from their governments above other issues, I don't think we're there yet. And I think that that's really the effort of civil society in the next years has got to be to educate the public better and to activate the public such that it becomes a priority issue in more countries. And I think that we need to, even when we do get this agreement, it needs to be implemented at the national level. That's happening to a certain extent already, but I think that's where the movement needs to do more of its work.
Okay, well, that seems to form a relatively positive message, and let's hope that these talks come to a conclusion that forms a real basis for a strong movement in the year to come. We're going to go to a short video now, and then we'll come back for a news update, and then we'll move to the plenary halls as soon as we start to get reactions from countries. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Adam.